Hi there everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Jared, also known as Sir Blinken here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be bringing you another unboxing video, and today I'm going to be doing a Yamaha audio receiver. So I've had a Yamaha audio receiver now for a little over 10 years. I've absolutely loved it, it's worked great, but unfortunately, about a month ago or so, it died. It's had a bunch of use. So it's not that surprising that it finally kind of kicked the bucket. I did think about trying to get it repaired, but one of the issues that I had with it is that it was just an HD audio receiver. So I've thought about upgrading anyways and figured if it died, it's a good time to upgrade it. The reason why I bought that one in the first place is I had purchased an Epson HD projector, which is what it's still connected to at this point. And the benefit of having the audio receiver is that I can plug my PlayStations, Xboxes, GameCubes, iPads, anything into the receiver. And then I just have one HDMI cable that goes from the receiver to the projector. And then the cables going from the receiver out to each of the speakers. I did think about upgrading to a 7.1 system or a Bluetooth, but I already have the 5.1 surround sound system with the sub set up, so I figured I might as well stay with that same configuration. The speakers that I have are Yamaha speakers, they're all amazing. I did go through and replace all the wiring for it to get HD audio cable put in, so it's a little bit nicer than the wiring that came with it. I think it was about $2 a foot or so for the cable that I put in, but it makes sure that I get the nice clean audio to all the speakers. I do have it set up so I have the 3 speakers out front, 2 in the back, and the sub in the back. So the ones in the front have, I think, 13 feet of wire to the middle speaker and then 20 feet to the 2 off to the side. I will go through and show how I have that all set up a little bit later. But for now, if you will do an unboxing on this and check this guy out, as I said, this is going to be a nice upgrade because I'm going from just an HD audio to a 4K UHD quality system, which means that the video that gets translated through this between either the PlayStation or other inputs and then being translated out to the projector will be a higher quality, so I won't have to worry about any loss there. And the audio quality should be improved that makes it to the speakers. So I'm definitely excited for that. One of the other things is that this one is supposed to have Bluetooth capability. So when we're wanting to Bluetooth our phones or iPads over to it, whether it's to watch Netflix or just listen to iTunes or Google Play or whatever my wife has for music on the Samsung. Sorry, I'm not exactly sure what the music is over there. That we can just Bluetooth to this. Most of the times if we're going to watch movies, we're still going to just plug in through a converter, an HDMI input into this, which works great. I have my regular iPad that I use for everything, and then I have a older iPad. I think it's a 2nd or 3rd generation, so it's not too old, but old enough, that I use pretty much as an Apple home these days. I do have Apple TV on it, which then lets me control a lot of those other channels, and then with Hulu and Netflix and Disney and Discovery and YouTube and everything, I can access all that on there, plug it in through a Lightning to HDMI converter, which I'll show that when I get that set up upstairs. Lets me view everything on here, even games. If I don't really game on the iPad much, but if I wanted to, I could play games on there, have it up on the projector. So I'll kind of show how all that's set up. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed having the Yamaha audio system that I've had for 10 years now, so I figured let's just give this a shot. One of the other benefits with this that I really liked is, aside from the HDMI in, it does have the component or RCA inputs on it, which is really nice if I'm doing retro gaming. I still have my PS1, PS2, GameCube, all of that stuff, or even some older VHS players that I can still hook those into here and then upscale it and still use it through the projector, which for me is a great feature. I do have HDMI to RCA adapters, but being able to just plug it into here and not worry about it is a huge advantage. The other nice thing is that a lot of the sound systems today are going towards Bluetooth or like coax cables, which are fine or great, but for the fact that I already have the 5.1 system in, I have all that expensive wiring that I put in, I figured let's get another sound system that can actually use the setup that's existing, and which this can. By not converting also meant that I was able to just get the receiver itself, so I saved a good chunk of money there, not having to buy the speakers. The other thing I will point out, like in one of my earlier videos, where I talk about how I got my PlayStation 5, this is another item that has been sold out for quite a while and is very hard to come by. But by having my Best Buy Total Tech plan, it allowed me to kind of jump the line to get this with short notice, and then actually saved, I think, about $100 off the MSRP on it. So that was definitely a huge advantage, which is also why I decided to order it as soon as I got the notification that there was one available. So let's go ahead and get into this thing, see what it looks like when it's out of the box, and then we'll jump to the living room where I have the projector set up. You know, in one of the other videos I showed that in our bedroom is my wife's kind of office setup. I'm in the basement in my office, which once my computer gets in, I'm going to do an unboxing for the new computer, and then I'll do a video for my setup down here. And then in our, what we call kind of our upper living room is our home theater setup, which is where this will go into, and which I'll be going through today and kind of showing how that setup works. So we get into the box. To start from out, we have a new remote that I'm going to go ahead and cut the tape. So you have the remote, you have batteries. Ooh, try and keep the audio headphone cable. I'm just going to throw that out to the side for now. We have, looks like the antenna for music, which with the digital music that we have, it's never going to probably even get plugged in or used. More cables. We have the owner's manual. Oh, here's the big antenna that goes with it. Let's see if I can do this while sitting. Cool, I guess I can. Okay, let's throw that over there for now. I'll deal with that later. So, yeah, we're still in frame. So, as you see, we have the different options along the front here. There we go. That you can go through and do your volume selection, channel selection. I mean, this looks pretty much just like the older, just HD model. Big dial controller and some inputs here on the front, as well as a headphone jack. One thing I will say with these things, at least with the other one, which I'm guessing this is going to be similar, the volume range on the other one went from -100 to +100. So you had a 200-point range in there. At -30, you can hear it through our entire house. We have a 4-level house, and you can hear it through the whole thing. I've got it up to around 0 once, at which point I could hear it outside about 50 or so feet from the house. I have never really dared to go much louder than that. One time I did take it to 100, but I only had, I think I had 2 of the 5 speakers connected, and we were just doing an outside party. And yeah, that was crazy loud that, you know, the whole pretty much block was able to hear it with just the 2 speakers. One of the things that we did do that was kind of nice is when my wife and I got married, since I had the sound system already, is we actually used it to DJ our wedding. We just went through and made playlists in iTunes, and then plugged the phone into this, and then had someone kind of running that, and then took I think we should use 2 of the speakers again for that. And even with 2 speakers, we had it, you know, -10, -20, and it was able to cover the entire hall there. So I was thoroughly impressed with that one, and with this one being even more powerful, I can't wait to see what it can do. Kind of scared to see what it can do, actually. So we'll go ahead and kind of spin around to the back here so you can see all the different inputs on the back. So we do have a HDMI output up top, HDMI inputs, the RCA and components down here on the back, and the handy kind of old school cable input so we can loosen these up. Take our nice braided copper wire, feed that in here, tighten these down, and then have our left to right audio for all the 5 outputs and the subwoofer out. So, definitely impressed. Like I said, looks just like the old one. The other nice thing is you do have a microphone jack, so if you're wanting to do karaoke, or for us with the wedding, being able to just have the officiant with the microphone stand set up to be able to have the microphone in the front and then have it go through the speakers was definitely handy. One thing that I just noticed on here that I don't know if the other one had or not is this one has a coax cable in it, so you can have cable in. I don't believe my old one had that. I may experiment with that and see if this thing has an HD tuner built in. I don't know offhand. I will look and see if I can figure that out. I know a lot of, actually I think maybe all of our Samsung TVs have the tuner built in, which is nice because you can get some free HD channels then if you don't have cable. I have not had cable now in 14 years or so, because of the internet. And quite frankly, I don't think that TV channels really have much to offer these days because you can get access to all this stuff online. Like I said, we have, you know, Hulu, Netflix, Disney, Discovery, all that stuff. And for all of those packages, even combined, is still cheaper than a basic cable packages. So yeah, highly recommend, just go digital. And the nice thing is, if you're in a lot of these environments, like, you know, me with all the Apple devices that I kind of go in and out of, my wife with Samsung, our Best Buy accounts and everything else, Verizon, you can find some really great deals out there. Kind of our tech tip of the day. If you have a Verizon Unlimited plan, you can get Disney and Discovery, I believe, super cheap. Netflix is the only one that's really hard to get a deal on, and I believe right now that Sony and Netflix are working together to get some discounts and promotional offers going on if you have a PlayStation Plus account. So once again, for my other PlayStation friends out there, another way to hopefully get Netflix a little bit cheaper, but we'll kind of see how that progresses going forward. So I'm going to go ahead, go get the old receiver unplugged, get this set up, and we'll see in a little bit.
Okay, so it was too hard to try and illustrate this part while holding the camera and actually putting the cables in, so I figured I'd just do a bit of an overlay here. As you can see, there is a red and a black kind of turn knob on the back correlating to each speaker. These knobs you just turn to the left till they're nice and loose, and then there's a little groove on either side of them that you're then able to slide the exposed wire cable into. These cables were already opened up from when I used them before, but all you have to do is take a wire cutter or very carefully take a knife and remove that outer sheath, and then there's a little plastic sheath inside. You have to be really, really careful to get that cut so you don't accidentally cut into the copper cable inside, and then slide that plastic sheath off, and then kind of give a slight twist to the cable or that's inside, and then you're able to slide those into the receiver holes, and then twist the screw kind of back down to the right, and it will secure them in place. Now, one thing that I do with these is, because it does have the dual cable, is that I don't know how well you can see on the picture, but the cable has writing on one of them that kind of talks about the type of cable. So you have black writing on a white cable, but it's only on one of the two kind of conjoined threads. So I always use that one as the black cable, essentially. Since it has the writing, it's easily detectable. And then that goes into the black slot on the back of the speaker and on the back of the sound system. So just a little trick to make sure that you're always plugging it into the right slot. So we'll go ahead and get to the full setup, but thought I just put this in here for a couple of tricks on how to set this up and show how the cables work.
So here we are in the living room with the sound system finally totally set up. Wasn't a very long process because, like I said before, I already had all the speakers in place and all the wiring ran. So all I really had to do is go through and unplug the wires from the back of the old sound system and slot this one in. But I'll still show you how I set this up, just so it'll give you kind of some ideas for if you're wanting to set up a system of your own. First, I'm going to start with the stand. My wife doesn't really like the stand because it is kind of ugly, and most of the rest of our furniture is wood, and this is just kind of ugly and plastic. But I've used the stand for years now because it works amazing. I picked it up at Menards a few years back for like $50, and I was planning on using it in the garage, but this thing has holes that go all the way through all of the shelves. So for cable management, this thing works amazing. And for the fact that I have, different tech on every different shelf, being able to run cables up and down, we're not all having to go out the back entirely. They just go straight up through. Works great. It's sturdy, it's solid, and it's deep. Everything fits perfectly. So yeah, it's $50. It's kind of ugly, but its functionality is like unparalleled. So highly recommend. And aside from just the cable management aspect side of it, airflow, when you have, essentially grates on top and bottom, is amazing. I have the Xbox set up on this shelf right now. The PS3 was on this shelf, which I haven't used in forever, but it was here. Right now the PS5 is sitting off to the side. We did hook this into this earlier just to play some games and have some fun. Generally it's going to stay in my office, but had to set it up just to kind of see. And there is enough room. Trying to get kind of under the slip is a little hard with the PS5 being a little bit taller than the Xbox. Getting it in there is a bit of a pain. It does fit. For now, I just set it on the stand off to the side. And like I said, down below, I know you probably can't see it out of frame, but I have like the GameCube and everything else set up. Back to the sound system itself, we have the Yamaha set up here. Setting this up, the factory presets on it kind of sucked. So I had to go through and actually activate the full 5.1 surround sound. It was only really using the front three. So just went in the stereo settings, changed it to 5.1 surround. I boosted the bass. We got the subwoofer sitting right here. Great place for it. Another nice thing with it being on this kind of great stand is the booming bass echoes out really well through that. So yeah, once again, stand works great. Having the subwoofer up a little bit higher is nice because it kind of goes down, it goes out. Obviously, it's shooting forward. And for us, kind of where you are right now is where we have a recliner sitting facing the screen. So having that big booming bass kind of right above your head is really nice to have. So I did go through and kind of tweak the settings in this for the actual bass output. Got everything kind of configured, went through and picked a different preset kind of function. There's like maybe 10 different functions that you can pick in here, depending on what you prefer, how many speakers you have set up, how big the room is, how loud you're actually going to be using it. So I went through and found all those settings, and it really only took like 5-10 minutes to get this whole thing reconfigured, reset up, and it works great. Just like the old one, right now I have it set at -25. I got it up close to 0 last night and boomed through the whole house. So that was fun. Threw on some metal and just kind of had a little bit of a jam. That was fun. These are the Yamaha speakers that come with it. You see I have the two back ones, At some point I may mount that one off a little bit further away, but for now, these work fine up here. They are very small, but the quality is actually really amazing. Like I said, I have this thing set at -25 and it's crystal clear, it booms, it's great. You know, just kind of with the rest of the setup I have, modem sitting here and the Google Nest Home. It's the Google Home Internet. I don't remember if this is actually considered part of the Nest or not. We have the Nest security system, quite frankly, because of all the tech that I have in the house and with running a business, multiple businesses and everything else. It's nice having the kind of peace of mind knowing that there's cameras around. Some point I may show a setup for that, but for now it's nice. Kind of, quite frankly, the Nest cams can be hidden very discreetly, so people don't necessarily know where they are, so they don't know what areas may have a blind spot, may not have a blind spot. And I say with the 180 view, there's not really any. So yes, I really like the Google ones, and the fact that with the Home is a mesh system for how big this house is and for everything we use it for is amazing. I had the old like Netgear Nighthawk gaming router, and I had so many dead spots and drop signals with it that it was driving me crazy. Tried some signal boosters with it, didn't work. We switched to the Google system, and yes, I know that Orbi system is supposed to be better. It's supposed to give a little bit bigger, better coverage, but it's also was like $1,000 for that, and we paid $300 for the Home on like Best Buy's Black Friday sale, and it's been amazing. Like I said, we get very consistently 200 meg over Wi-Fi, and then even better than that when you're actually plugged into it. It does only have one Ethernet out, which is ran down to another hub in the basement then, and then separated off so that everything that can be plugged in will be plugged in, especially when I'm trying to do streaming or gaming or uploads. Actually, for uploads, I can upload from the iPad, and I have like 40 meg upload speed through the Google Home. So a lot of times I can just upload straight from the iPad and not even have to worry about it. Like I said, when the new computer gets here, I may do a little bit more uploading from that. But yeah, so Google Home, highly recommend it. And then it has enough channels built into it for all those Wi-Fi cameras, so you don't have to have wires or whatever, which makes it easier to hide them. I know there's some pros to people obviously seeing them, so they know kind of to avoid it, but you know, kind of the old thing of a locked door only protects you against an honest crook. You know, a visible camera is only going to protect you against someone who knows to avoid it. So yeah. Then we have the Epson HD projector. This is not a 4K projector. It is an HD projector. It's rated at a 120-inch screen at 13 feet away at full HD. I believe it. I've ran this thing for years. It's amazing. The only issue that I've ever had with it are bulbs, and the kind of advice I can give for bulbs is do not buy Epson bulbs. They're $400 to $500 a piece to get replacement bulbs for this thing, versus the like Amazon Basics kind of equivalent that they sell are generally right around $100, and I think kind of either Black Friday or Christmas they had them on sale for like $75 $80, so I bought like 5 of them. The Epson bulbs, based on their ratings, do last longer, but they're pretty much they give the same quality of viewing experience as the Amazon ones. They just are more durable and they last longer, but they don't last 5 times longer. They may last twice as long. Well, if they last twice as long for 5 times more, I'd rather just swap the bulbs out. It's, I think, one little flip hatch, 2 little screws, lift the whole bulb out, set it off to the side, put a new bulb in, you're good to go. With how much we use this thing, given times 0 that we may not have time to use it, bulbs generally last us, you know, 2 years roughly or so before they have to get replaced. Sometimes I can get 3. Where I said the Epson one's only rated to 5. So, you know, I bought 5 Amazon bulbs for less than the price of one Epson, and I'll get at least 10 years out of it. So that's kind of my tech tip, money saving thing. If you're going to do it with a projector, don't necessarily worry about the Amazon ones being so cheap, because, you know, they may not last as long. They have the same quality though, and you're still going to save more money in the end. So yeah, and then the other thing that I said earlier that I'd go ahead and show you guys kind of how I do a lot of this is because, you know, with a smart TV, you have all those smart features built in. I don't know if any of the new projectors have any of that smart stuff built in, but my kind of way to get around that is to use an iPad that I use essentially as an Apple Home or Apple Dock or whatever they call the TV home setup. Yeah, it works great. I have YouTube loaded up right now. We're going to kind of use my classic Samsung HDR test, just so you can kind of see the video and audio that comes out of this thing. I know they have some other free source video options out there, but for now, a lot of my tests, and I've used this, so I figured I might as well stay consistent. But I have this handy little Lightning to HDMI converter, and then the ones from Apple are nice because they actually have the ability to plug another Lightning cable into it, so I can keep this powered and then have HDMI in. I can go through, pick whatever I want to watch, and like right now with YouTube, I have the premium subscription, so I can just hit the power button and we'll actually turn the screen off, and we'll still allow that audio and video to continue playing without it on. Obviously Netflix works that way. I believe Disney does. I think Hulu, it's either Hulu or Discovery are like one of the only ones that you actually have to keep the screen on. But if it's in back here, it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, if you have an older iPad that you're not using for anything else, works great to kind of run your whole system off of. I do have a kind of higher tech, really long cable. So if I'm wanting to sit in my recliner, I can have the iPad up there with me and then have it still connecting back here. One thing to be careful of with the longer HDMI cables, if you get a really cheap one, those are going to be cheap for a reason. You're going to lose signal, you're going to have crossing waves, it's not going to work great. The long, expensive ones are very expensive, but if you need the length, it's well worth the investment to keep the quality that you're needing. So just kind of a upside on that thing. And then as far as the speaker cables go, you know, like I said, I made the custom cables to length, and then we took, set that back up, and ran, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this if I turn you a little bit, try not to get too much flare from the windows, and ran the cables up the wall, and then put eye-rings going across the ceiling. I need to tie these back up. I loosened to make sure which cable was for which speaker, but these will stay then taut against the ceiling, and everything will be kind of tied up behind the stand. So yeah, that's kind of a nice little solution to get the cables up out of the way and kind of discreet. Obviously, if you're lucky, you're going to see them running. That is a benefit to having Bluetooth speakers, is you don't have the wires. But I already had these speakers, I already had this set up, and when I set this up, Bluetooth wasn't at the stage to give you definitive, you know, theater quality sound. I know Samsung, Sony, LG, a lot of those big companies have come a long way. Bose has come a long way. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Bose. But I know those really good Bluetooth speakers are also in the thousands of dollars range. And I'd rather just pay to have some cable ran than to pay that much just to have Bluetooth speakers. So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys turned off for a sec. Get you turned around and show you how the screen works. We're going to hit play on the sound system and show you what like -25 sounds like on this thing. Obviously, the translation is not going to come through probably amazing, but we'll see how much will actually show up, and then you can kind of see from there. So I will see you in a second. Okay, so obviously at the moment, you're not going to have an amazing viewing experience just because it is pretty much pitch black and the camera's trying to focus through it. We just kind of took a wall that we use as a screen at the moment. I do have a couple of projector screens. I have a 95-inch, which kind of fits in between these sconces that are on the wall now, but it ends up shrinking the screen in like, 6-7 inches versus just putting it on the wall. And obviously having the screen gives you a little bit better quality, but not as much of a difference as I was really expecting it to. I'm working on trying to convince my wife to let me take the sconces down, and then I have a full 10-foot Epson HD projector screen that I want to hang up here. But for now, it works great on the wall. And for the fact that we're only doing it at about 100-inch screen, I know only is kind of relative when you get to these sizes, but you have a 100-inch screen where it can go up to 120 and still be in HD. And I believe you can go up to like 15 feet at still 720p. That, you know, the quality is there good enough that it doesn't really make that much of a difference being on the wall versus being on a screen. And then you can kind of see up top that I have the 3 front speakers mounted pretty much as close to the ceiling as I can, angling kind of down into the room, so all the sound's broadcasting down at you, and then the wires are all hidden up top and then running across the ceiling. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this and see how well it comes through the video. I'm just going to do a test here. So one thing I do notice, just kind of looking through the camera or the screen on the phone, is that the quality that looks like it's recording is nowhere near as nice as it is looking on the wall. But I do also, you can see, have the camera in the way of the projector a bit, so that may be kind of distorting the screen some as well. But yeah, this is definitely amazing. The sound system works great. It's still set, like I said, to -20. I'm not going to try and jack it up any higher. I'm not going to, I don't know, annoy my neighbors, I guess. Oh, there's my head in the way of the screen. There's one downside with the projector versus a TV screen is, you know, you can't really walk in front of it or you lose image. I could mount the projector to the ceiling, but with the stand that I have, it works great. It's, it's about 6.5 feet up, so it's fine. It goes over the top of the chairs just fine. It'll go over a couch. It'll go over just about anything else. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and have enjoyed kind of the setup. If you have any questions, go ahead, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Bye.